Hello again from my front porch. Well, I want to tell you about a little project that I've been working on, a little personal satisfaction project, what do they call it? A labor of love project. Anybody who knows me, who really knows me, and even if you only partially know me, knows that I'm a big fan of the Monkees. Yes, that's right, the Monkees, the group. And I'm not one of those people who say, I love the TV show, weren't they really awesome? I do love the TV show. In fact, I have the entire series on DVD. I also have their TV special they did, 33 and Third Revolutions per Monkey. I have their movie Head that they did. And then I also have the more recent special that they did called Hey, Hey, It's the Monkees back in 1997. And so, I've got all of that. I also have all of their albums, and when I say I have all their albums, I mean I have original release vinyls of all of their original albums, even the ones that you probably don't even know they released. And I have CD versions of all of their original albums too. The great thing about the CDs is they add bonus tracks onto those as well. So you have whatever was on the original configuration of the album, and then you have other previously unreleased stuff, which could be alternate versions of the songs. It could be songs that were recorded at the same time but just never released. And so I've got all of that kind of stuff. Big fan of the Monkees, and I really do appreciate their TV show. I think it was very inventive. I think it set the bar, established a genre that previously to that point did not exist, and I'm a big fan of their music too. Now, not as so much their first couple albums. I did enjoy the first couple albums. There's some great stuff on them, but I really enjoy what came after that. See, a little bit of Monkees history for you, a little trivia for you. When the Monkees started, of course, they weren't intended to be an actual rock band. They were intended to be a marketing ploy. It was supposed to be a TV show about a band that wanted to be like the Beatles. And so they cast two actors, Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, who had musical talent. They both actually could play guitar and do stuff like that, but they and sing and stuff. But they were primarily actors. And then they also hired two musicians, Mike Nesmith and Peter Tork, who were serious musicians. They could play instruments, they could write songs, they'd had bands, they did all this. Well, Mickey Dolenz had a band too before the Monkees, and of course Davy Jones had been on Broadway, so that's kind of a band. And so anyway, but they bring this group of guys together to make a band, and then they bring in this guy named Don Kirshner to be the head of music supervision, and his job is to crank out albums that they create a fake band, a TV show about a fake band, and Kirshner's job is to create albums from the fake band, so that, it all links together. So again, something that television had never done before. Now, we just take this, product connection stuff for, everyone cheers about what Deadpool and how creative Deadpool is with finding these ways to tie all this stuff together. You can thank the Monkees for helping blaze that trail. But anyway, so Kirshner, he was not interested in the artistry. He was interested in what was going to sell. That was his job. That was what he's there for. Well, that really rubbed Peter and Mike the wrong way. Mike especially, because Mike was of this thought that I'm being hired to play a guy in a band. I'm a songwriter. I'm a performer. I'm a good musician. I'm going to be part of that piece of the puzzle, and he found out he was not. Now, ironically, there are a couple of songs in their first album that Mike Nesmith actually wrote and sings, but he was not allowed to play his own instrument. He wasn't allowed to play his own guitar on his own songs, because Kirshner said, no, we're using these people, these studio music. And so, obviously, it wasn't long before they were butting heads. It didn't help also that while the Monkees were out on tour in '67, where it's the four of them live in front of people, playing their instruments, doing their songs, that Kirshner released the second album, More of the Monkees, and didn't even tell them it was being released. They found out when they were being asked questions about the new album while they were on tour. That really ticked off all four of them. But around that time is where Mike Nesmith also threw that big wrench in things by telling reporters that they didn't play their own instruments. Well, he wasn't obviously saying they can't play their own instruments or that they are unable to play instruments. He was trying to say that they aren't being allowed to play their own instruments, because clearly they're out on tour, on stage, playing their own instruments. But he was expressing his frustration about being locked out of the artistic side of things. And so that's where that rumor began, and it still continues this day. The Monkees weren't a real band because they didn't play their own instruments. Baloney. Go listen to the third album, Headquarters. By then, they kicked Don Kirshner out. They revolted and got him fired. And that third album, Headquarters, that was all the Monkees. That was them taking charge and doing their own album with their own instruments and playing. Now, unfortunately, they didn't do that again until the 1990s when they released the album Justice. And that was another one where the four of them came back together and they did, again, just them. They wrote the songs, they did all the musician stuff. And by this point, Mike Nesmith was a master in the sound studio. He did all the editing of the album in the studio and all. And so it literally is their album. And so that's really good too. So if you really still believe that, go listen to those. Anyway, so there's all of that and there's a lot more to the Monkees that I could unpack there as well. But of course, the TV show's on, the records they sell more than the Beatles and Elvis combined while the TV show's on. But then the TV show stops being on, and predictably the record sales begin to drop because they don't have that weekly commercial, that half-hour commercial for them on all the time, and they begin to drop. And then they released the movie Head, which was really trippy and weird. But the point of the movie primarily was character assassination of the Monkees themselves. They were so sick of their own image and persona that they did an entire movie which was produced by the Jack Nicholson, and they do this whole movie that's really intended to just dismantle who the Monkees are. And then if that wasn't enough, they follow it up with a TV special called 33 1/3 Revolutions per Monkee. And it's a variety show kind of format that features some tremendous artistry. There's one scene that has Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Little Richard all playing piano, literally physically stacked on top of each other. With one big piano, Fats Domino at the bottom, then Jerry Lee Lewis on a slightly smaller piano standing on that, and then a smaller piano with Little Richard standing on top of Jerry Lee Lewis's piano. So they're stacked in this pyramid fashion, all playing piano. That's pretty cool. It is. I doubt they could do that now. People would be like, what if those fall off? What if they fall off there? But it's cool to watch now. Anyway, again, that was another character. It was all dismantling this image of the Monkees, because by that point the four guys were wanting to do their four own different sounds, or they each had unique interests and they wanted to each explore those things. And so eventually Peter is like, you know what, I'm out of here. I want to go do my own thing. So Peter leaves. Mike stays on. They do a couple more albums. They become very heavy Mike Nesmith albums, honestly. But then Mike is bored with it. He wants to do instead of being tied to the Monkees, he wants to strike on his own, do his own thing. So he leaves. And that original time frame, Mickey and Davey do one more album as just a duo, and then that's it. Over the years, Mickey and Davey still tour doing stuff. They travel with Boyce and Hart, who wrote songs like Last Train to Clarksville, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually we get to the 80s, and the TV show gets put on MTV. There's this whole new flourish of Monkee Mania. Peter, Mickey, and Davey get back together, and they do a tour in 86. They do a tour in 87. They do a tour in 88. Weird Al Yankovic is their opening act. All this kind of stuff is going on. Mike joins him for a few concert appearances. He's busy with what he's doing now and his big company that he's created, so he can't tour with him, but he joins him when he can. He shows up, and it's like amazing. And so then things kind of level off just a bit. They release, a new album in there and all stuff. But then come the 90s, and Mike says, you know what we ought to do? We ought to do another one of those albums where it's just us, the four of us back together again. Hence the album Justice. They do a TV special along with that called Hey Hey, We're the Monkees, and it's like an hour-long version of their old TV show has just been continuing on the air. They even joke that it's episode 781. And it's all really good. And then things kind of slow down a bit. Mike goes back to what he's doing. The other trio continue touring, tour. Then Davy Jones passes away. Very sad, passes away. And people are like, well, what's going to happen now? Well, by that point, Mike decides, you know what, I'm now freed up. I can carve out some more time to do this. So he joins Mickey and Peter, and the three of them go out doing a couple of tours as the trio, as the Monkees. And now Peter has had to pull back. I haven't read it officially, but I suspect it's because of health reasons. Peter had throat cancer at one point, and he had to go through a lot of rehabilitation to be able to use his voice. And so if you listen to him now, you think, well, age has taken a toll on him. Well, yeah, obviously they are in their 60s, 70s, they're getting up there. But for Peter, it may also be to do with what he had to deal with his medical issues too. Anyway, and Peter is the oldest of the group as well. Davy Jones was the youngest, ironically. Anyway, so long history, and then for their 50th anniversary a couple of years ago, they released an all-new album with a lot of the songs written by indie recording artists, and they're awesome, incredible songs. An album called Good Times. Even Rolling Stone magazine raved about it, said it was one of the best albums of the year, and it's just phenomenal. So what I've been doing, in addition to babbling to you about this little retrospective on the Monkees, what I've been doing is my little project, my labor of love project is I wanted to create a playlist. Little playlist that was a chronology of the Monkees. It would be like, okay, here we go from Last Train to Clarksville to Good Times. Not every song on every album, but a lot of songs from the different albums. Some that are widely played on the radio, and some that are what they call the deeper cuts, the ones that the casual listener probably never even pays attention to, you never hear on the radio. But those are some of the songs I actually like better than the big hits, because again, a lot of the big hits were done for the purpose of becoming a big hit. I like the artistry of some of the lesser known ones. Anyway, so I put this playlist together and I start putting it in, and I have no vision for what this is going to become at the end ultimately. But I put this together, I find all these missing link things, I call them, those bonus tracks and the CDs. They also just release full albums called Missing Links. And these are songs, again, that are alternate versions or not released. And I look up, okay, I like this one. I want to put this one on my playlist. But when was it recorded? And I find out it was recorded at the time of when this album was being done. So, okay, that song goes by those songs. This song. And then I find live concert stuff from the 60s, live concert stuff from the 80s, 90s time frames, put those in there. Go out and find audio clips from some from the TV show, some from interviews, some from the specials they've done, the movies and things, and even some from Davy Jones' memorial service where Mickey and Peter sing Daydream Believer, and Mickey gets all choked up and has trouble singing it because, again, it's Davy Jones' song and they're honoring his memory. But still, just the whole gamut of this. And it took me about a week and a half to put the whole thing together. By the time it's done, I am proud to say I am now the owner of a Monkees chronology playlist that is 7 hours and 20 minutes long. That's right, 7 hours and 20 minutes long, and it contains 167 items. Now, a few of those are sound bites, as I said, little audio clips, but most of that is music. The vast majority of that is all music. And I was telling this to a friend of mine here recently, and they said, really? The Monkees have 7 hours of music? What, like without doubling stuff up? And it's like, oh yeah, and I didn't even use all of their songs. But to be fair, I also did include stuff from their solo careers too, both in the 70s, and then there's solo stuff from the 80s, 90s time frames from the members of the group. And so I inserted some of that too, some Dolenz Jones, Boyce and Hart, a couple of their songs when Mickey and Davy were traveling with Boyce and Hart. And so, all of that, again, to create that long lineage. And it's really great. I love listening to it. And it's a shame that you can't listen to it because I can't just say, here's the playlist, because some of the stuff is purchased and some of it's uploaded. And so it's like iTunes has this ability, you can share playlists so other people can listen to them. But since it's not, you can only share the playlist elements that were bought on iTunes. You can't share the elements that you just uploaded yourself, like the audio clips and things like that, or things I burned from CDs. And so, unfortunately, I can't just share the playlist like that. I could burn it onto CDs, but you're talking 8 or 9 CDs, and then I'm going to feel like I'm doing one of those, what it was, K-Tel Records, the Monkees chronology, available now on 8 CDs. So anyway, I'm enjoying it though, and it's really great because now, if I have to drive to our Wichita office, it's a 6-hour drive. I can listen to almost this entire playlist in just one leg of that trip, and so that's awesome. I like that. But I've been listening to it and just playing it, and it's a lot of fun. And my sister Tony is going to hear this, and she's going to be like, I want that playlist too. Be like, well, sorry, it's going to be hard for me to get it to you. You can come listen to it in my car. On a long drive somewhere. Anyway, all right. Well, I gotta get going. I get going. I've got. I forgot. I got this here. I was gonna show this while we're doing stuff. See, I'm in addition to being a Monkees fan. See, I've got autographs from 3 of them. We got Peter and Davey and Mickey. I don't have Mike's, and so I keep hoping for the opportunity that I'm gonna get, because he's really hesitant, really restrictive in what he does in that kind of a vein. He doesn't even have a place where I can't just mail him the photo and have him sign it, pay some money, and have him send it back. He doesn't do that, and so I gotta figure out ways I gotta figure out a way to get his signature on that before he's gone as well. So anyway, we're working on that, but I'm going to head out here in a little while. I'm going out to the Covered Bridges Winery in Winterset, Iowa, because my good friends, Abby Normal, that they're playing out at the Covered Bridges Winery, and I'm going to be out there selling the t-shirts. Yay! We're almost out. We're running out. But that's a good thing, because there's a couple of people on the shirt who aren't in the band anymore, and there's someone who's in the band now who isn't on the shirt. so the supply needs to go away. But sadly, they won't have new stuff until probably 2019. They got to get rid of this stuff first before they can look at getting the new stuff. Also, Jana West has some CDs that are really awesome. So if you haven't bought one of those, you get them. So if you got nothing else going on here for the rest of the day, they're starting out there 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere around that time frame, out at the Covered Bridges Winery out in Winterset, Iowa. And so look forward to seeing you there if you make it. And then also, assuming it doesn't get rained out, because we've been having some weird weather here in Iowa now. Assuming it doesn't get rained out, Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, I'll be up in Boone, Iowa at the Boone Speedway singing National Anthem for the 2018 Nationals. Now, the National Anthem singing is at 1:30 in the afternoon. So if you've had your long Labor Day weekend, you probably have gone back to work on Tuesday and you won't be able to go. But if you can, and if you're looking for something to do on that Tuesday, then come on up to the Boone Speedway and catch me doing the National Anthem up there. Never did it there before. Hopefully it'll be a good experience, and I'll be invited to come back next season. Maybe do it more like on a Saturday night when it's more of an opportunity for other people to be able to go see it. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. Gonna go get my monkeying around done too. All right. With that, I'll see you next time from my front porch. Here I go, walking down the street. I get the funniest looks from everyone I meet.